we're going to go over linear relationships to kind of give you guys, or help you guys start the focus area so that you guys can get started on it. So with linear relationships, for this video, I need you to get two things, okay? The first thing that you're going to need is your notebook. And then the second thing that I want you to get is I want you to come and ask me, or come and get, or ask your teacher, whatever, to print the graphing using tables of values. It's on the platform. It looks like this, okay? So try and get that printed so that you can follow along. If you don't get it printed, it's okay. It's no big deal. You're just going to have to write it. Okay, so we're dealing with linear relationships. All right, when we talk about linear relationships is talking about two things that form a line whenever they are graphed, okay? So on a graph, it would look something like this, or it would look something like this, or your points would come together like that. So it makes a line. That's all linear relationships mean, okay? Is a relationship a line? All right, so that's all linear relationships mean, okay? Now, the key to being successful in linear relationships is that you are going to plug it in, okay? That is your keyword, or those are your keywords for linear relationships, all right? You are just going to plug it in, all right? Okay, so before we start doing examples and stuff like that, I want to go over some definitions. So this is a graph. And this is the graph that you're probably going to see a lot with linear relationships. And on the graph, this is your x-axis right here. This is your y-axis. One way you can remember it is that y has like a stick that goes down, so that means it's going to be the long axis here, okay? And then that one's the x. On the right side of the x-axis, those are your positive values, 1, 2, 3, 4, on and on and on, okay? On the left side, those are your negative values, -1, -2, -3, on and on and on. For your y's, the top is your positive values, 1, 2, 3, and your bottom are your negative values, -1, -2, -3, on and on and on, okay? So that's really important in order to remember, so make sure you put that in. All right, if you have any questions, make sure you pause the video and come ask me, all right? Now, when we talk about a coordinate is a location on a graph, okay? It's just a location. It's a where on the graph is it located. And the way we write a coordinate is x, comma, y. Your x always comes first. Your y always comes second. All right? So let's say I have a graph. And I have this point right here. Okay? Well, whenever you're trying to find the coordinate, what you're going to ask yourself is where does it connect on the x and the y? Well, it connects on the x at 1, 2, and it goes on the y on also 2. So 2, 2. Let's say I have this point out here. Well, on the x, well, this is your x, it's at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because it's here. And then on the y, it's at 1, 2, 3, -3, okay, because it's at the bottom. All right, so let's say I have this point right here. I want you to see if you can figure it out, so go ahead. Hopefully you tried to figure it out by yourself. It's at 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops, nope, not 4. 1, 2, 3, -3, comma, 4. Okay, you do your x first, and then you do your y. All right, see if you can figure out this point. Hopefully you tried to figure it out by yourself, but on the x it's at -1, and on the y it's at -1. Okay, so that's the first part that you need to know. So now what we're going to do is we're going to kind of go over some examples, because I think that's the best way to teach this to you, okay? So I'm using that paper that I printed from Summit. It's graphing using tables of values. If you don't have the page, then just write it in your notes. It's no big deal. Now it says complete the table for y equals x plus 3, and then graph the resulting line. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this to complete this, okay? And like I said before, we are going to plug it in. That's what we are going to do. So I have the equation that they gave me. y equals x plus 3. Well, they gave me some x's here, okay? So I'm going to plug in these x's into this equation. So we're going to do the first one. Y, we're just going to rewrite the equation, equals x. They gave me the x. The x is negative 5. So negative 5. And then I put this plus 3. All I did was I substituted my x that they gave me in my equation. That's all I did. I plugged it in, okay? Now I solve it. Well, negative 5 plus 3, they're different signs, so I'm going to subtract, so that makes 2. And then the 5 is bigger, so it's going to be negative 2. So for my y, it's negative 2. Then we're going to do the second one. We have y equals, again, they gave me the x. The x is 0. So I go 0 plus 3. Well, 0 plus 3 is just 3, so I write that here. Now we do the next one. Y equals, this is my x. We're just going to plug it in. 4 plus 3. Well, 4 plus 3 is 7, okay? So these are my points, and now I'm going to graph them, all right? So we have negative 5, so I go negative 5 on the x. This is my x, remember. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then it's going to meet negative 2 on the y. The y negative 2 is 1, 2 is right here. So we're going to see where do they meet? Right there, so that's where I put my dot. Same thing for 0, 3. So we go 0. Then we go 3 on the y, so 1, 2, 3. All right, see if you can graph this one. All right, hopefully you paused the video and tried to graph it. If you didn't, pause it now. So 4, 7, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 7 on the y, which is here. So we see where do they connect? Oh, right there. That's where my dot goes. And then we just connect the dots. Okay? And so that's your graph. All right? That's how you connect it. All right, next one. All right, so for number 2, I'm going to let you guys do this by yourself. This one, here they gave you your x's. Here you can pick whatever x's you want, okay? If you want me to pick them for you, then I can. I'm going to pick negative 2, 0, and 2. But you can pick whatever points you want, all right? And then you're just going to plug it in. Now, when we do this one, y equals 3x. That means 3 times x, all right? So for like the first one, my x is negative 2. Plus 1, so it's 3 times negative 2, which is negative 6, plus 1, which equals different signs, so we subtract, and then we keep the sign of the bigger number. Okay? Whenever you have an x with a number, that means you're going to multiply. All right? So make sure you know that. Okay? And if you want to check your answers with mine, you're more than welcome to come ask me. All right, now let's look at number 3. Now with this one, they give us a graph, and then we have to see which equation goes with that graph. Well, like I said here, we are going to plug it in. That is all we are going to do, okay? Now, there's a couple of things that I want to kind of show you, okay? Whenever your graph is going in a positive direction, okay? So when your graph is going up, it's going positive. That means that the x is going to be positive. Okay? So you know how we write an equation? That means my x, the number with the x, is going to be positive. If my graph goes down, okay, like that, that means x is going to be negative. So before we even do anything, we notice it's going in an upward direction. That means it's going to be positive. I can already take this one out. Already, because it's negative, okay? So now I'm down to 2. So now what we're going to do is we are just going to plug it in, all right? We're going to plug it in to see what number works. So they don't give us any numbers, but they do give us this graph, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this graph, and I'm going to fill in the numbers that they give me. So we have 0, 0. So I'm going to use that one. So 0 on the y, 0 on the x. And then I'm going to use, let's use this one. This, your x is 2, and your y was 4, okay? And then we can use, let's use this one, negative 2 on the x, and then negative 4 on the y. So again, how I came up with those points is I looked at the dot, and I looked to see, okay, where does it touch the y, where does it touch the x? And so those were my points, okay? So this one was just 0, 0 because it doesn't go anywhere. And then this one, I looked at that point to see where it touches the x and then where it touches the y. Okay? So now we're just going to plug it in to see what works. Okay? So we have y equals 2 times x. Okay? Times whatever x is. Well, if we do this, 2 times 0, well, 2 times 0 is 0. That's what we were supposed to get. So this one works. Okay? Now let's try another one. Y equals 2 times x. Well, my x is 2. That 2 times 2 equals 4. Oh, look. They match. Okay? So it works for this one. Now we're going to do the next one. Oh, this is supposed to be negative 4. Now we're going to do the next one. We have y equals 2 times negative 2. Well, 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. And look, that's where we're supposed to be. So that means that this is my answer. Okay? All right, if you have any questions, let me know. All right, so with this one, they give you the coordinates. You have to graph it and figure out which one it is, okay? So again, you are taking these x's and you are just plugging them into the x to make sure it works. With this one, you need to watch your sign, okay? So I would also say plot these points first. So if you plot them, I want you to pause the video and see if you can plot them. All right, hopefully you plotted them. So we got negative 3 and 1, which is here. We have 0 and negative 2, which is here. And we have 4 and negative 6, which is here. So if you notice, the graph goes in a downward direction, okay? And so what do we say when it goes in a downward direction? What does that mean? So see if you can cross off some of the equations that it cannot be. All right, so if your x is going in a downward direction, that means x is going to be negative. So if we look here, oh, look, my x is positive. Can't be that one. Look, my x is negative. Okay, it could be that one. Oh, let me look here. Oh, my x is positive. So automatically it's B, and we didn't have to plug anything in. Okay? So sometimes you can use these like tricks and stuff to figure out what it's going to be. All right. All of these are just more practice. So take the time that's needed. Rewind this video. Remember, your goal is to plug it in. If you can plug it in and solve, you're going to be fine with linear relationships. Okay? All right. If you have any questions, let me know. And, yeah, get to work.